All right, so let's talk about Bijan Robinson today, and break him down from a fantasy perspective going into next season, because I've heard a lot of people talk about where he's going and how he's going to be used, and frankly, no one knows. But that's part of the fun of fantasy is speculating on it. So news came out yesterday that Bijan is listed as the third string running back for the Falcons. I don't care about that. That's preseason. More importantly to me would be like how he's finishing in the back half of fantasy into fantasy playoffs. So like based off of that projection, where I would think that he finishes the season, if is he a weekly top five starter by the end of the season? The answer to that's very difficult to actually understand. So um right now on ESPN and most places, Bijan's going somewhere between like top five to top or the end of the first round. I don't think I've ever seen him go any place outside of the first. I don't think he slips to the second. Honestly, where he should be going is excuse me, he should be going someplace at the end of the first into the early second. um the Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs scenarios aside, his where he should be going is probably around Nick Chubb, Nick Pollard, or Tony Pollard, in terms of apples to apples comparison of what their seasons are going to look like, hopefully. And because he does project to be have a potential legendary upside season, the 20 points or above, he should probably be going over all of your non-elite wide receivers, which would probably be the cutoff of around Devontae Adams. So a late first, an early second is a good place to be looking at Bijan. He's not going to be going there in any drafts, and this is my explanation to you as to why you should let someone else draft Bijan. My main league is an auction league, and if I thought he was worth chasing after, I would go get him, and I don't think he's worth chasing after. So when you look at the Atlanta Falcons from last year, and this is essentially the same offense, maybe a slight upgrade to the overall quarterback on the season as Ritter takes over, hopefully the entire year for Mariota. But like this wasn't a very good offense, points per game, and they didn't even throw for 3,000 yards adjusted for sacks, or not adjusted for sacks. They were like 2,900. The point being is, even if we give them a slight uptick in the passing game and we actually need that to maximize Bijan, there's still not going to be a high volume passing game, and they're also not going to be a high volume running, or the part of them that is going to be the high volume running game. Some of that's going to go to Tyler Algier, who came on late on the season, probably won a whole bunch of people some fantasy championships, and he's had 200 carries for about 1,000 yards, and he's not going to go away. Like everybody could say, well, Bijan's a first round value. Tyler Allgeier's not going to go away, especially because the league is moving towards this grinder, low efficiency player versus this high efficiency player, and the high efficiency player doesn't need to get as many touches as the low efficiency player, because they're trying to get the right touches to the high efficiency player, and they're trying to get the we don't care if you get hurt touches to the other guy. And in the case of the Falcons, they actually have a third guy last year, in Cordero Patterson, that is still, as long as he's still on the roster, he's going to take touches away in one way, shape, or form from Bijan. So even if it's not perfect, uh, you're looking at two guys that are going to Frankenstein together for probably about 200, 250, 300 touches that are just not going to go to Bijan. And that's where we start running into the problem of, it's not just the touches, it's not just the carries. Like he has to have close to 100 targets, even in the range of 65, 60, or 64, 60, 76, which is Josh Jacobs and Saquon. Ramondre had 88 targets last year with his 69 catches. And most of those catches are low efficiency because when you go find a guy like Tony Pollard, he had 39 catches for 371 yards. He's getting almost 10 yards a catch, right? Because we don't want just check downs in the flats. We want design passing plays, running deeper into the route tree, which is something that Atlanta doesn't look like they're going to do in the first place. Let alone if they do it, they may not have the quarterback that can actually get the ball to Bijan. So that's where we start running into is we need for Bijan to pay off at his ADP right now, where he's going like as a top 5 pick. He needs to have roughly 300 touches, but about a third of those need to be in the passing game. And that's just not going to happen because of the Atlanta offense. Now, if I thought that they were going to run a lot more 12 personnel or 22 personnel, something like that, whether we're going to have multiple running backs, like Algier was going to be on the field with Robinson, and Robinson can actually run routes because they can bait the defense and then thinking that they're going to run the Algier into the back of the offensive line. That would be a great outcome, but that's not the offense that we've necessarily seen out of Atlanta. Atlanta wants to be, this really well run running game. And while I have little doubt that Bijan will be able to do that, it becomes harder and harder to put together a season where he's purely Nick Chubb or he's purely Derrick Henry and doesn't get the passing game work on top of that. So it would most people go, oh, I will take Derrick Henry with the top 5 pick. I will take Nick Chubb with top 5 pick. Maybe, but that's not where those guys are going in the draft. They're going later because they have capped upsides. So if you think that Nick Chubb is going to actually be involved in the passing game to about 50 catches, then maybe Nick Chubb is a first round draft pick. But if you think that Bijan is going to get about 50 catches and 300 carries, there probably just isn't enough blood coming out of the Atlanta offense to give you that outcome. We're trying to find an outcome that makes sense, and now you're looking at an Aaron Jones where he's going to be about 200 carries for 1,100 yards, 59 catches for about 400 yards. He's going to have plus or minus 10 touchdowns, and then you could go down and we could find AJ Dillon, who would be the Tyler Algier, who has about 200 carries for 700 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns that doesn't go to Bijan, and then he also has 28 catches for 200 yards getting dumped down. It wouldn't surprise me that the Atlanta offense looks a lot like the Green Bay offense this year, and you're paying first like a top 5 pick for Aaron Jones. Well, if you're going to go pay for Aaron Jones, you might as well go pay for Aaron Jones in the 3rd or 4th round of your draft. So anyway, that's kind of my breakdown of why Bijan is overvalued this year and how he just there isn't a very straight road for him to be Christian McCaffrey or Austin Eckler, because they're just either not going to use him that way or the offense just isn't going to support enough offense to put him over that hump. So anyway, this is a short one today. That's about all I got to say. See you guys later.